Hey dolls, welcome to Pinkie's podcast. This episode may contain some naughty language, so if you're a delicate doll, bye bitch. But before you go, please hit like and subscribe. Thanks, honeys. Hello and welcome to Pinkie's podcast. My guest is the iconic and legendary, as all my guests will be. It is the one and only Paul Keenan.
Hello.
Hello, Paul Keenan.
It's great to be here. I'm the guest that nobody knew they wanted.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. I like it. And you're obviously my partner. For those that people don't know that.
In more ways than one, yes.
More ways than one. Take of that what you will. And how I'm going to start this podcast every episode, I'm going to ask how we met. Okay. So, because there's always a really random story with people that I meet. So, how did we meet? Can you remember?
Yes, I can remember. So we met in late March, I think it was about March the 24th, 2012.
Yeah.
Daz, who I'd known for over 10 years, who I did United Nations with, we were working on some new projects, and we had this idea for a track. It was very commercial, quirky, and Daz said, "Oh, I found somebody that I think would be great for it." And he told me about you. He said, "She's called Nona," sent me some pictures, said you're a performer, you're doing all these different things. And it was through a third party that I didn't know, but he'd met you. So we scheduled for you to come up in March to Glasgow, to sunny Glasgow, where we were going to record you on the track. You'd already heard the track. It was the Assholes track. Yeah. Why are all guys such assholes?
Yeah.
Because you did a really good American accent as well. I remember him saying, I think I thought you were American at first.
I like that you've just said that because you slag my Scottish accent off.
Yeah, that's not good. Got a lot of work there. But Scottish accent's quite hard.
I think my Scottish accent is very good, actually.
Very good, dang, great. So you came up to Glasgow. I met you in Central Station under the clock.
Mm-hmm. And what did you think?
Well, I mean, I'd already seen you because he'd sent me some pictures, like some of your professional shoots and stuff. So I knew what you looked like. So I knew that you were like attractive. You were fit. And then I walked in, and it was funny because even if I wasn't there to meet you, when anybody that walked into that station at that time, to that door, would have been drawn to you because you just was like bing.
Because I'm an alien.
Well, you just look like a pop star. To be fair, when I walked in, and I was just like, oh wow. And then there was Daz there in his 1970s trackies.
Literally looks like he's just been teleported from 92.
Yeah. Sorry, Daz.
Sorry, Daz.
And
not sorry.
And he's going to be coming on here at some point, I'm sure. Anyway,
yeah,
so he can discuss that. And then I met you, and I was kind of like, what's she going to be like? Because I never spoke
honest.
to you. Well, I was kind of like that. Is she going to be a bit of a stuck-up, snooty bitch? Or is she going to be down to earth? And then I walked up, and Baz was like, "This is Nona," and you were like, "All right." And I was like, "Wow, she's really common." In a good way.
Cheeky
no,
bastard.
I was like, "Oh," and you were dead nice. And then it was great. We hit it off and went to the studio. Mm-hmm. Went to Subway first, bought you a foot long. Like to treat it the right way from the start of the foot long. Loved a bit of foot long.
Oh, dear God.
And then down to the SAE, which is in Glasgow, which is a recording studio where it's a college, and I was teaching there at the time, so we were able to use their studio. And it's a lot more impressive than taking you back to the man cave at Dumbarton.
Yeah, I maybe would have thought I'd be in traffic if you'd have done that.
I think most people, if they saw me and Dad standing with you, probably thought that was happening.
Yeah.
You're being trafficked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was there for a collection. You know what I mean?
God. And yeah, so that's how it all started, really. So you've already spoke about Daz, but so how did you meet Daz? Where did that come from? Like, how did you meet the actual story as opposed to what it's not a record. We love Daz. We love Daz. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I met Daz through. I think it was a music magazine called Sound on Sound. Because remember, this is before the internet, or the internet was just coming into.
We're that old.
So this was around 99, 2000. So the internet was there, but most people didn't have access to it. I don't think I got the internet till around then. So emails, I think there was emailing, but there was a magazine called.
But it used to take about a day to send an email.
There was a magazine called Sound on Sound, and Daz had put an ad in. I think just looking for a producer or something to work with and stuff. But he obviously had previous success. But again, I'll let him talk about that. Mm-hmm. And I replied to it, and then we just got chatting. And we did.
When you got chatting, what?
I think it was the old days where.
Did you email him or did you send him a letter?
I think I phoned him, to be fair. I think there was a phone number.
Right.
I think it was old school. I had to phone up and say, "Hi, can I speak to
landline?"
Yeah, landline as well. That's how there was no mobiles. Didn't have a mobile then.
Oh my God.
So yeah, phoned up and we got chatting. And he told me his backstory and what he was up to, and he was looking to work with some producers. So we just started bouncing ideas. And you remember?
And did you meet in person? When did that
Yeah,
happen?
I can't remember when. In fact, I tell you exactly when we met in person. He came up to Scotland because he had another pop act. I'll not go into again. He can, and he was going to Dundee.
Right.
To do a Christmas event. I think it was a Christmas light switch on. So this was around 2002. So we've been talking for about a year.
And you hadn't bounced any tracks around at this point?
Yeah, I think we'd sent a few stuff, but it was like we would discuss ideas and then, couldn't send MP3s then because in those days the internet was so slow. Napster was just around and, it would take 40 minutes to download an MP3, which you thought was amazing. Like, I've got these songs at my fingertips, and now it takes... Seconds. If it takes more than 5 seconds, I'm getting frustrated. So it would literally be, do some ideas, I'd send him a CD, and it'd be a day or two till he got it, then he'd listen, then we'd phone up, we'd discuss it and what we would change, and that's kind of how we've done a few projects. So yeah, he came up, and I met him with the guy, well, known as Rick then, but John Matthews, who Daz has collaborated on quite a few things with. And we went to the Christmas lights, met him, to the capacity crowd of about 5 people and a dog in its late teens. Again, he'll tell you the same. It was funny though. And then, so then when we started getting a few ideas and started getting a bit of traction on records, Daz would come up and we'd, come up for a couple of days and we'd just jam in the studio.
So then how did Uniting Nations come about? How did that start?
Well, Daz and I were obviously already working together, and then we made Out of Touch, and it was just before Call on Me came out.
Okay.
Eric Prid's Call on Me, which obviously was massive and still is. And because we had Daz already had management when I met him, and then I subsequently signed with them. But because they were in the industry, and particularly one of our managers was very well connected, we would get to hear what was kind of coming through the next big songs months and months before they were released, and that was quite handy for us. So we
because everything's behind.
Yeah. But
everything's behind.
By the time
6
something
months.
hits the charts, that sound's been bubbling underground, or that track could have been around. Well, the thing is, I don't think.
It was a bit different then, though, wasn't it? Because, like you were saying about sending the tracks and stuff, we'll come to this. I'm going to ask you about it, but it was all white label, wasn't it?
Yeah,
you had to actually have a copy in your hand.
It's completely changed now because obviously now it's all social media, it's TikTok, it's SoundCloud, it's all these ones. None of that was. I mean, YouTube didn't exist when Uniting Nations was born. There was no SoundCloud, there was no I think Facebook had just started, but nobody had it. There was nothing. I mean, I think now what it would have been like if we'd done that today, but it's one of those things. But Out of Touch came along, and so we sent it out to a few people and. The story of how that got signed is quite. So I tell you.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Speaking of white label.
So we didn't actually do a white label on Out of Touch. We had some connections. There used to be a Sky radio channel called Pure Dance.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people used to listen to. So we knew a DJ.
I was the Box girl, but
the Box was around then, but we didn't know any of the Box. But we didn't have a video. That was the video. So we knew a guy who worked on Pure Dance. So we sent it to him. And so, what do you think of this? And he was like, "Oh, I love this," and he immediately put it on. So we were listening to it, like when we done the final version along at the studio, and we sent it off. So Daz and I turn on Pure Dance, and it's already on the playlist. We think, "Oh, that's great," but at that point, we Pure Dance wasn't going to get us a record deal.
No,
So we knew a guy. We knew Lee Butler, a couple of other people.
Oh yeah, Lee
Butler, and a guy Pez Tellett. A guy who worked for Galaxy, a guy called Tom.
So these are all DJs.
These are all DJs.
People that don't know.
Sorry, yes. Yeah. So Pez and Lee were on Radio City. Tom was on Galaxy. So we sent it out to them.
On a CD.
On a CD, yep, all old school CD, and
people are thinking, oh, they got an Epic. No, they got a CD.
Yeah, and they started playing it because they had their specialist shows. Pez had a show on the I think it was the Saturday night on Radio City or the Friday night. Lee had what was called the Plastic Surgery. That was his.
Oh yeah.
So Tom knew some people at Gut Records.
Okay.
I think it was Simon Hills, who was one of the head of A&Rs there. And had phoned him or somebody at Gut and had said, "Oh, have you heard this Uniting Nations Out of Touch record?" And they were like, "No." Because nobody had the record, so why would they have? But this is how
just a handful of DJs.
He just said, "Oh, it's really
it.
good, and you should listen to it. And I'm going to play it." So A&R back then would all listen to the same kind of things. They would listen to the local radio station because Wigan, like Wigan Pier.
Oh yeah, Wigan's huge.
Yeah, the north west was massive. That's where Ultra Beat and Flip and Phil and all these, circa 2002, 2003 big acts. that's where all the dance music was coming from, predominantly in the UK up north, and that's where they were looking, which was fortunate for us. So Tom, who was a presenter on Galaxy, contacted Simon and was speaking to him probably about something, not specifically on this track, but because A&R are always speaking to DJs and seeing what's hot, and had mentioned, I've got this track, it's really good, Out of Touch.
Yeah.
So Simon was, okay, fair enough. So obviously Tom played it on his shows that weekend, which Simon would have expected because it was Tom had got the record. But he would also listen to Pure Dance to see what, and he'd heard it being played on Pure Dance as well, thinking, there's that's on, not knowing that we knew
twice.
The guy. Yes, you've heard it twice. So then, of course, he goes out. Sorry, we'd sent it as well. Daz knew a DJ in London. I can't remember who it was who DJ'd, I think at Ministry of Sound or somebody else. He had a copy as well.
Right.
So Simon had been listening to it. On a Friday night, all the A&R would listen to the shows, the Northwest shows, what tracks are getting played, because it was all tracks. It wasn't chart stuff. It was stuff that white labels and stuff. It was all the new. This was the SoundCloud of the day.
Yeah.
So they were listening to all the tracks that were coming through. So they were looking for the next hit. So of course he listened on the Friday, and Pez Teller, or it was Lee Butler, played the song, and it was like, there's that Out of Touch song again. So I've heard it again. I've heard it on Pure. Obviously Tom's bigging it up. He couldn't go on the internet and trawl it and go, right, where is this? Because there was nothing really. There was a few forums, but no, you couldn't go on YouTube, you couldn't go on SoundCloud, there was none of that. So you just had to go by word of mouth and hype. This is how so many records got signed, through hype.
Yeah.
And then on the Saturday, I believe he was listening to Lee Butler again, and Lee played it as well on Radio City, and it's like, that's another DJ.
3 times.
And then he went out that night to a club and happened to go to the club, pure luck, where the DJ who had the record, the only DJ in London who had the song, was DJing, and he dropped the record, and it's like, there's that song again. So he's thinking, this song is massive, quite rightly so, because why you're hearing it everywhere.
Yeah.
This is how hype works. So he's on the phone to the MD, or sees the MD first thing Monday. We need to sign this record. Out of Touch, United Nations. It's everywhere. It's huge. The MD's going.
And there was literally at that point 5 CDs spinning round.
So the MD's going, United Nations, who the fuck's that? What? Never heard of them.
So what is the originality of that track? What sprung that to your mind to do?
We were just trying ideas. Like, we would phone each other up and say, by that point I think we had mobiles. So I think we were starting to text.
Yeah.
And we would text, and I would go, what about this idea? And he would say, what about this idea? And then if an idea sounded interesting, then I would knock up a basic rough demo.
Yeah.
Because if you put something together in like half an hour and it's just really rough, but it's got that energy, and you think,
then let's work on it.
You think that's got something. So once the Out of Touch idea was tried, I was a massive fan of Fallen Oats anyway. So, and the thing is with Out of Touch, which was a strange one, is a lot of people didn't know the song because it was never a hit in the UK originally.
All right.
In the 80s, it was released twice and it didn't make the top 40, but it was number 1 in America.
But it was because it was too slow.
Because, it's a great track, I think, but people ended up knowing it because of Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, that's where the
it was the cruising song, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we did it, and I was playing it, and phoned Daz and played it down the phone. He was like, that sounds epic. So he came up and then says, well, we'll get in the studio, we'll put it together. And it didn't take long because it's all, we can't take credit for that because it's all on Hall & Oates for writing a great hook, and that, dun dun.
And so
dun.
how did Ginian, the vocalist, come about? It's actually a male vocalist on Out of Touch.
A lot of people think it's a woman because
but he's pitched.
Yeah, because back then, because Eric Prydz did the same.
Yeah.
And it was like, there was the kind of Daft Punk French thing where they pitch records. It was very French because that sound, I think, originated.
When we say pitch, it's making the vocal higher.
Yeah, so you basically play, up 2 semitones. Doesn't mean a lot for people, but basically, your voice has gone up by 2 notes, which gives it a slightly
feminine vibe
to it. Yeah. So that's why because everyone else was doing it, we thought, well, that's what we should do. Yeah. But Ginian, who's such a nice guy, he's one of the nicest guys, really cool, just down to earth, just chill guy. He was
amazing voice.
Yeah, he was living in France at the time, and Ginian he was a very well known musician, in playing bands, but he'd also sang on the Space Cowboy, I Would Die For You.
Oh yeah, that's
the cover
right.
of the Prince cover.
I would die for you.
Yeah, so he did the vocal on that, and we approached him because he was recommended, saying he could probably do a very, very good impression of Daryl Hall, because what we wanted to do was make it look like we were using a sample.
The original sample,
which it wasn't. It was all recreated.
Recreated
it in the studio, and then we got Ginian on. And
he's such a good vocalist.
Yeah, and he sang the majority of the album. He sang the second single as well, So it was great working with him. So yeah, and then Out of Touch obviously went on, you know, to be just this massive song. It was 4 months, you know, in the top 20. It's 5
insane.
weeks in the top. The tracks didn't do that.
How long did it take for you to do the video? Because did you put the video out before you released it?
Yeah. So the video, we've done 4 videos now, and you know, Daz and I aren't in any of them, but that's through choice.
Gillian's not in it.
Gillian's not in. No, because the videos they would get 3 or 4 directors to pitch a script,
an idea.
Yeah, and then the label would look at them and say, "Here's the 4 ideas. This is the best one we think. What do you?" And we would say, "Yeah, okay, just go and do it." If there was a video that had an appearance for Daz and I that made sense, then I think we would have done it.
Yeah,
you know,
a couple of workies.
If we're taking the piss,
the background.
No, well, we got offered that for the You and Me video, but I didn't like it. I just said it doesn't sound funny enough. It just sounds like we're planting ourselves in a video for the sake of it, which is just an ego thing, which is not. I'm not interested in that. You know, if it's a parody video and I'm having a laugh or whatever.
If it's a piss take, Paul's interested.
Otherwise,
it wants to stay at home.
Yeah. So the video was done, and the video went to the box, because that was the big thing.
And so why did Gillian not front it in the video and at the
Gillian wasn't interested in that, and
that was a time I think a lot of people don't realise that there was a lot of faceless dance acts. You know, you could send anybody as the vocalist, and nobody would know which is what happened.
We did, yeah. I mean, there were lots of,
because it was so big at the time. How many shows were you doing in one night?
Well, we only ever sent one vocal. We only ever had one person fronting it. I mean, we wouldn't be the kind of band that would have 2 gigs in 2 different nights in 2 locations and send 2 separate singers. That's a little bit cheeky, but the front person changed. Yeah, but it's the same with any. I mean, how many dance acts of 20 years ago now have the same people fronting it? They don't. Yeah, exactly. They don't. You know, that's people expect that. But yeah, we had 3 different people fronting it. We had Steve, who fronted it for Out of Touch, and he did the Top of the Pops appearances on Out of Touch, and then Craig came on board and he fronted it for You and Me, and then we had another guy, Rob, who was doing but that's it. If you looked at United Nations, apart from the odd press photo, you'd never associate Daz and I with it. Apart from the Top of the Pops, we went on Top of the Pops. Of course, it's Top of the Pops. You're not going to say no to that.
And this is the thing now with this resurgence of all the old dance acts. Obviously, we've met at this point, and then this resurgence comes in, and you ask me to front.
Yeah.
UN. So would you say now it is more recognisable as me fronting it?
Well, yeah, because you've been a member for years. You know, 10 years.
Yeah. It's weird though, isn't it? Because I mean, I go to gigs and people be looking at me and go, "Oh yeah, I love this song." I'm thinking they think I'm the original. I'm like, I'm Laura Moore from I Know Corrida, and it's like, no, that's not me.
The thing with dance music, right? You know, and unless it's I think if Coldplay went on stage and it wasn't Coldplay, people would be going, where's Coldplay? Yeah. For dance music, you turn up, it's United Nations, it's a song you know, and most people don't sit and go, I don't think that's the person that was originally the singer. Because you are on stage and you are part of the band.
And as like you say, I've been doing it for 10 years now, and I'm obviously a bit more
so you are
a bit more recognisable, though you could send someone out in a pink wig, they probably wouldn't notice.
There's very few from that era that go out as the original lineup, you know, a dance act. That's just, dance music is, unless it's someone like Calvin Harris, because he's a brand, it's him. You can't send somebody else to be Calvin Harris. I mean, we did 4 singles with United Nations, four top 20 singles. 2 with a male vocalist, that was Gillian, and 2 with female vocalists. One was Laura. Yeah.
Laura Moore.
Laura Moore, yeah.
Iconic.
Who was in the Call on Me video.
Call on Me video. In the workout, in the Ministry of Sound workout, and how weird is this? This is like, what do they call it, 6 degrees of separation? But I was obsessed with the Ministry of Sound workout, and I just thought she is freaking beautiful. And I used to do it all the time, and I remember when I came up here and I brought all my stuff, and you were like, what is this? And I was like, how weird, because you went, that's the singer of Laura, I Know Corrida. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. Because it's weird to me now, because, I mean, I was at drama school and stuff when that stuff was coming out, and I remember I Know Corrida, I think more than Out of Touch, because the video was so cool at the time. She was like a boxer, and she was funky.
It's weird you say that, and I Know Corrida is our biggest, most popular song in Poland. Now, Poland, as you know, you've been to many big gigs in Poland. We were very, very successful there, because it's not really a sales market in Poland. It's more who's getting the most airplay. Okay. So technically, I think in Poland we've had like 6 number ones. Wow. So we've actually had a couple of singles that weren't even singles over here. They were released off the album in Poland that did well. So that's why we get so much there. And I Know Corrida, and it's weird because I Know Corrida's a nice song. I mean, I like it, but it's certainly not my favourite.
No.
And I just think it's because we didn't even want to do I Know Corrida.
Yeah.
You know, it was meant to be a remix, and then we ended up being a collaboration that the label wanted to do. So,
but then speaking about that, at that time, it was difficult because you were doing another job.
yes, that's right.
You are Bobby Paul,
Yes, Police Scotland's finest.
keeping the streets clean.
Yep. Yeah, that was a crazy time.
So all this that you've just spoken about, at that same time, you are PCPK,
Yep.
which is just insane. So, I mean, you were having to take time off work surely to go and do Top of the Pops, and
Yeah, I remember that time when we got the call, because the thing with the Top of the Pops, what was interesting with Out of Touch is we'd never had a hit. So we were a completely unknown band.
Wow.
And we got invited to do Top of the Pops pre-release.
wow.
Which is very unusual.
Yeah.
And it was also, it could have gone horribly wrong, because if we'd filmed that and then the Out of Touch had gone in at 36, they would never have shown it.
No.
But we got the call. Daz phoned me
They
up
must have known, though. They wouldn't have got you down there if they thought
Yeah,
they'd
well,
been like, this is a banger.
Yeah, there was bubbling, you know. And when I got the call from Daz to say, well, we've got Top of the Pops, I was like, what? Really? It was, because everything
Can I just
happened.
say, Paul's not interested in any of the other gigs, but he gets a phone call about Top of the Pops. He's like,
who's going to say no to Top of the Pops?
I'll have a slice.
Yeah.
Well,
Top
I'm
of the
just
Pops.
pissed off that I wasn't part of the band when you did
that
Top
same-
of the freaking Pops.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. But the thing is, we never did Top of the Pops on any of the songs that had the woman. It was only the first two
How weird
singles.
is that sexist?
There's just the chart position just was funny. But I remember going down, and the thing is, for the first top of the Pops, I had to go into my work and say, because everyone was a bit bemused by this.
What's
I was starting
Paul
to
doing?
get, well, it wasn't
Yeah.
out though. That's the thing. It hadn't been a hit. It wasn't a hit at that point. So everyone knew I was into music, and I'd made this track with Daz, and
Yeah.
it was going to get released, and it was signed, and they were all kind of, oh, this is kind of cool. And then I started to get a bit of press through work, because it was like, you know, Cop's going to release record, and so obviously it was a good angle for the police.
DJ
Look at the different kind of talented people we have in the force, and you know, all that
Well,
kind
it
of stuff.
makes you more human.
Yeah, I think, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so the police will love that.
So I had to go in and say, I'm going out to do Top of the Pops. They were like that. What? I was like, look, I think this is, I'm as shocked as you are, but they were like, okay, right. And now, Top of the Pops used to film. It was a Friday, but they would only film 3 weeks out of 4. So on every third week, they would film the next episode straight after. It was to save money.
Yeah.
So they would film the live show, and then straight after they would pre-record the show for the next week.
Right.
So we were recording our pre-recorded show, because the record was going to be out, I think, on the following Monday.
Okay.
And it was also Children in Need at the BBC.
Oh, right.
So this was a Friday.
There's a lot of people about then.
So on the Saturday, Rangers and Celtic are playing the
Oh
old
my
firm.
God.
So I said, so I think I was off the Friday. I'm not sure if I had to get time off, but so I said, look, what can I get the Saturday off? I've got to go to London to film Top of the Pops tonight, Friday night. You know what? And they looked at it. I couldn't get the day off. I could not get the day off. There was just, I think I was in the control, but there was literally no one that could cover for the role I was doing. So I had to fly down, do Top of the Pops, get on a plane straight after, and fly back up to be in work on the Saturday.
That's outrageous.
And everyone was like that. You're not doing Top of the Pops yesterday? I was like, yep.
What a come down.
Honestly, it was like, I mean, I was still like, wow, I just did, because we arrived, you know, in the BBC's full with Children in Need, and Andy Peters, who's one of the loveliest men I've ever met. He was the producer of Top of the Pops, and we walked into the studio, and I'm like, this is the Top of the Pops studio. I mean, Daz had been on it before, but he was still like, Top of the Pops back then. It was like,
mega.
you know, you were like, you'd made it. And Andy Peters came up, and he was like, oh, and he had his phone, and I'll grab my phone just to show, and he was like, and this was back in the day where Shazam was a big thing. I think it probably still is now.
Yeah.
And he says, oh, I was out and about, and he said, I was in my car, and I was and Out of Touch came on the radio. He says, and I was like, oh my God, what's that tune? and he got his phone out, and he starts going, look, that's where I Shazammed. And he showed how, because that's when you used to phone it. It wasn't an app. You used to phone, and it would ring, and it would go, please hold the thing
Did
up.
it cost you like £2 or something?
I'm not sure, but he was like,
My God,
so he was
Andy.
actually showing us on his phone the date and time he Shazammed that song, because he was like,
How cute
I want
is
to get them
that?
on Top of the Pops, because I love the record.
What a guy.
And the thing is, like I say, we weren't released at that point. And then, so we did Top of the Pops. I went up, so I worked the old firm on the Saturday, and then the Monday came along, songs out. So what you used to get in those days was what's called the midweek, where you would know the chart position throughout the week. You would get the sales, and you'll be looking, because everyone would be sitting down. It would be like analysing it like some kind of,
because it was sales, it wasn't streaming.
Yeah. There was no streaming. Spotify didn't exist. There was nothing.
Yeah, it was going by CD and Woolworths.
Yeah, literally. And you used to get this thing as well called your pre-sale. So basically, how many units you were shipping to the shops, and that gave you a rough indication of how much you had out there, where you could go. So I think our pre-sale shipping was about 40,000 units. So that was enough to go top 10.
Yeah.
Probably enough to go number 1, to be fair. So we got, so on the Tuesday we got our first midweek, and of course everyone's hyped up, and it was 18, and I was like,
oh no.
Now that, bearing in mind this is my first release,
still mega.
And it's still in the top 20.
Top 20 is
and
insane.
I was gutted.
Oh no.
I was like that. Because the song was just, everyone was talking.
There was so much hype.
This is going to be top 10. It got to 12, right? Okay, so by that point I was like, 12, it's top 15 record. And we had a chart party at my folks on the Sunday, and it came on, and I was like, yay. And then the next week went by, so we got the midweek, and it had dropped thing. I think the next Sunday it was 15. So it was doing what it meant to do. It was like 12, 15, 18, and then we were going into Christmas. And then I remember I was lying in bed. I was off night shift, and my ex woke me up at the time. She's like, Daz is on the phone, you're in the top 10. And I was like, this was 4 weeks after release. The songs didn't do that. Songs went in at the highest position, but I think what happened with Out of Touch is our radio play hadn't hit its peak.
Okay.
And in those days, and it's probably the same with Radio 1 now, when they sent the song to Radio 1, Radio 1 would say, because Radio 1 was the one you wanted.
Yeah.
Like, not, again, thinking of everything we've got now, Radio 1 seems insignificant, but back then it was like Radio 1. If you got Radio 1, you were pretty much guaranteed a hit.
Yeah.
And we gone up the A, B list, started on the C list, B list, and you had to give them a release date.
Right.
Because they otherwise, think about it, I would say the release date's August the 1st. Right, you're on the C list. And we'll push it back to October the 3rd, so you're going to get all this radio play. No. If you kept pulling that release date, they would usually let you push it back 1 week.
Okay.
But any more, they'll pull your record off.
Wow.
So we were locked into the 22nd of November. By that point, we'd only had a couple of weeks radio play. But then what happened is, when the song came out, it was getting to the top of its airplay chart. So then it hit its airplay peak about 2 to 3 weeks after release. So that's when it suddenly went. So if that record, they worked out how it went. If that record had been released 2 weeks later, we would probably have gone to number 1. So... But then it jumped up to number 7, and we were like, it'd gone from like 4th week to number 7. Then it stayed in the top 10 for 3 weeks, left the top 10, then went back in the top 10. That's why we got 3 performances of Top of the Pops.
I was going to say, because you didn't just do Top of the Pops once.
That was the thing. It was so crazy in 2004 for an act, especially an unknown act, to go on Top of the Pops 3 times with the same record.
It was such a banger.
It just never happened. We were almost to the stage that we were like, it was funny. The first time we went there, we had one dressing room before pre-release, which we shared it with the dancers and everything, so you couldn't move. And it was like, we got on stage and it was just whatever keyboard you want. But then see, by the second and third, it was like, right, what do you want? We had our own dressing rooms.
Rider.
We had, I would put down all these obscure keyboards just to see if I could get them. And I did. They got them for me. And that's actually a quick funny story. When I was, one time I got up onto the stage for, I think it was the second time. And the keyboard was really low. Because obviously I'm tall, I'm 6'4". And I was like, oh God, I'm hunched over here. This isn't going to work. So I called like the stage-hand over. I said, look, I'm really sorry. Any chance I can have the keyboard higher? It's just too low.
Yeah.
And he looked at me kind of confused and he was like, oh, okay. So he went off to the floor manager, who was like in charge, and I could hear them talk. I couldn't hear what was being said, but they were talking. And the floor manager kind of giving me a dirty look. And I heard him saying, is he serious? And I was like, oh God, I felt awful. I was like, oh my God, am I being a total diva here? Like, I felt so bad. I was like, and then he walks over to me. He's like, the floor manager, and he's looking at me, his headphones on, and he went, mate, sorry, was that a serious request? And I was like, yeah, it's just I'm hunched over, it's too low. He went, oh, do you want the keyboard higher? I said, yeah. He went, oh, sorry, he misheard you. He thought you wanted to be higher.
Oh, for God's sake.
So he thought, who is this
Who's this dick?
Egomaniac.
I want to be higher.
I want to be higher on the stage. So like godlike.
No.
But honestly, I was like, I was cringing. I was going, what have I said to you? Because I'm not, I'm not ego. I'm just like that. Oh.
That is so funny.
But, yeah, that was fun.
I mean, your ego must have been inflated. You had a press officer at this point, didn't you? The police.
Because it was literally like, because obviously police officer releases a record and then it goes on to be a big hit. So BBC wanted me, ITV wanted me, all the papers and stuff like that, you know. So,
but it's so funny. It's
he's an MC by day, you know, he's a PC by day and an MC by night. Top of the cops. I remember all these headlines. I've still got a scrapbook.
God. It's too good. But it's just like people at your work must have just been like, what the I mean, they think that now, don't they?
But then
like,
it was
what are you doing now?
Yeah, because I worked at Drumchapel, which isn't a big station. It wasn't, you know, it was quite a small station with, you know, maybe just 5 or 6 cops
so they
per
must
shift.
have just been like...
So they were just, I think they were just like, I think it's one of these things, and to be fair, not really so much the police, nobody really said it to my face, but a few people did come up and sort of say, you know, when we were talking about the music, we were all like that, you know, and I'm like, I'm going to have a hit. And I think, people are just thinking, why would you have a hit?
God, I just love that when you can just wipe
and
their
then
faces
they turned on the
it.
TV and I'm on top of the pops and they were like, a couple of people said that to me. They said, look, be honest, we didn't really, when you were talking about doing music, we were like, oh, that's good. Didn't take you seriously. And I was like, wow, fucking hell, he's on top of the pops. So it was like, fair play to you.
Yeah.
And I think that probably a bit like that as well. It was kind of like...
Isn't it so funny? And I was saying this the other day, wasn't I, about like... Because when I was younger, we were in America a lot and everybody builds you up. Like everybody there is like, oh my God, I know this person or this person. And I always say about my Auntie Jackie, like saying to my mum, your kids need to be in show business and, you know, doing this. And there's so much help, like, because people want to be part of your journey.
Yeah.
They want to say, you know, oh, well, I got her this or da-da-da, you know. Whereas here, there's a real downplaying of everything. And people are just like, aye, all right. Do you know, like they don't want to, I don't know if it's jealousy or if it's just people just don't have our same belief system of if we say we're going to do something, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Thankfully,
maybe it's a British thing. I don't know.
I mean, personally, I think thankfully those kind of people are in the minority in general. Most people are.
Most people love it. Most people do love it. You just do get your ones, but it's funny how it changes when you are up there and people go, oh, I know them. That's the ones we're talking about.
All of a sudden, your messages get returned and they take your calls.
That's it. Well, speaking of that, collaborations. So not only did you release the singles, you did remixes as well? Some quite big acts.
Yeah, we did. I think the biggest was probably Girls Aloud, which was we did the Christmas single. I think We're Alone Now was out at that time. So, yeah. I mean, you know, looking back, I feel like we could have done a lot more, to be fair. You know, and then...
If you had me around...
Yeah, I mean, because I took a career break.
You'd have been doing a lot more.
I took a career break from the police for 18 months. And, you know, I look back now and think, God, I could have done so many things differently. But that's life, you know. There's no point in it. It is what it is. It's, you know, there's no point in that. But, yeah, I mean, it was good. And then... the whole thing, and then it got a bit sour because we were kind of having disagreements with the label and about the direction we wanted to go in, and it just started to think this started to feel like work, and it's not meant to feel like work.
When we're talking about that as well, obviously, you know, we've talked about this the other day about huge acts right now that don't have a label. They don't need it anymore. They don't need it now.
No, it's completely,
it's
absolutely completely changed. You know, and I think lockdowns helped a lot of people because nobody could go out.
And there is still that mainstream mentality, though, isn't there, of the general public not understanding that you signed. You know, you signed. They don't understand now. Yeah. Even though people that do stream things, they still think you need to have a label or when are you going to get a label? And I'm like, do you know what? Actually, you don't know if you want one, to be fair. Like,
unless you're trying to be, you know, Taylor Swift size, then...
There'll become a point where you will need that help.
The thing is, there's so many acts now that you go on to Spotify and they've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 million monthly, and they're not signed.
No.
You know, and they've just literally started making music, putting it on socials, putting it on SoundCloud, putting it on YouTube, and they've just naturally, I mean, it's taken a couple of years, but they've just naturally, organically created a large fan base. And sometimes that's just a bit of luck as well.
Yeah.
You know, the luck factor, I had the luck factor without a touch.
Yeah,
there's always the luck factor, you know. Maybe one track just happens to be picked up by somebody and it becomes viral, and then you get a massive amount of, you know, a fan base off the back of that. And you can't predict that though. You can't make something go viral. It just goes viral. You can just all you can do is make stuff that you think's good.
Exactly.
And put it out there.
If you like it, it's going to do better, which we've found with stuff that we're doing now. But speaking of that, obviously, you say about Top of the Pops. You also met Kylie at Top of the Pops, didn't you?
That was Children in Need, because I think it was after the rehearsal we we were just walking through the corridor, and Andy Peters was there, and he was standing with Kylie, and he was just like, "Hi guys, oh this is Kylie," and she was just like,
and
and I was
Kylie's
like,
tiny. You said,
yeah, she's tiny, yeah, really, really small. Well, most people are tiny compared to me. I'm 6, big guy, but yeah, she was really just tiny. I was just thinking,
God.
But it was just, it was literally just a hi.
You must have been like, I mean, it's Kylie Minogue. Do you know
then
what I mean?
we went for a sandwich, and we were sitting on a table with Girls Aloud in the BBC canteen because it was heaving, like I say, because it's children in need. And the thing is, when you're in there's no egos. Well, I never saw any egos anyway. Everyone just sits amongst themselves. You've got the crew and the They've only got one bar.
Yeah.
In the BBC back then, that's all they had it. So the crew used it, the celebs used it, everybody used it. And that's when I met Suggs. That's another story.
Oh yeah, and McFly wasn't there?
I met McFly there. I met McFly at Live and Loud in Glasgow as well.
Ah, right.
That was the last Live and Loud in 2005 at Hampden, and we were one of the acts there. And McFly were there, and Mel C.
She's supposed to be really nice.
She was there.
Well.
She was on the same label as us at the time. So the guys that were there. For me and Craig, because Daz couldn't make that, it was just me and Craig at that point. They were kind of jumping between us, and then eventually Mel C came over and sat on our table for a bit, and she was just dead, very, very down to earth.
Yeah.
Very
when
down
I
to
did
earth.
that last gig in Poland, the driver, because I said, "Oh, who else have you been taking around?" And he said, "Oh, Melanie C." And he's like, "She's a very nice lady, And you always know when the drivers say that. Because a lot of the time they don't really get anything back to them. You know me, I chat to everyone. I'm like, tell me your life story, driver.
I've been very lucky, and I've not met anyone famous who I've just thought you're a dick. Thankfully,
not that he's going to talk about on here.
Yeah.
So, have you got any crazy gig stories? I feel like you've got a few, but I remember one.
You probably have to remind me now.
I remember the one where Daz didn't get there.
Oh yeah, that was the first one at time I ever went. Mm-hmm. So yes, bearing in mind I said we were big in Poland, so we were getting loads of bookings in Poland. So I'd never gigged in my life, I'd never DJ'd in my life, all right? But
he's a producer. He's
I'm
not
a producer.
DJ.
He
can DJ, but he's not a DJ.
But people use that term DJ for like Calvin Harris.
Yeah.
Calvin Harris does DJ, but he's a producer. People that physically make records are producers.
Yes.
People that just mix other records together on stage are DJs.
Yeah.
So you can be a crossover.
Yeah.
You can just be a DJ, or you can be someone like Carl Cox. I'm not sure. Carl Cox probably makes records himself now, but back in the day, he would have just been a DJ, a famous DJ.
Love
do you know what I mean?
Cox.
But so we had this was the first gig in Poland, and I was meant to be meeting Daz at Amsterdam at Schiphol Airport.
Yeah.
So I arrive at Schiphol, no sign of Daz. I try and phone him, but when I phone him, you get that, when you're abroad
and you get that
international,
pause.
it's like, so that person's in a foreign country. It doesn't ring. So I knew he was there.
Okay.
Didn't answer. So now I get on the connecting flight. Doors closed. No sign of him. So I'm thinking, what the fuck's going on here? So anyway, I land at Poland, get off the plane, turn it on, got a voicemail from him saying, mate, he literally missed it by seconds. His flight was delayed. I couldn't get another flight that day. So he's like, I can't, I'm going to have to just go back to the UK. So I'm like, God, I'm in Poland. I don't know anyone. Never been on a gig in my life. Daz was very experienced. Not so much DJing, but performing. So I'm like, oh God. So we get to the hotel check-in and stuff like that, and then we get taken. I'm with another guy, a DJ who was he was booked as well, but he was going to a kind of cooler club. So we stopped there first.
Okay.
Guy Richard. So we jumped down these clubs. It's out in the middle of nowhere. It's like the size of B&Q. It was this huge thing, and there's fire eaters and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, there was the owner was outside, like on a barbecue. He was like chopping up stuff, and he sat down. He says, "Oh, good to meet you." And this is where Richard was going to be DJing. So we stopped here first, and then
crazy,
and then I was going to get taken on
club gig. They've got a barbecue.
Yeah,
outside.
Literally. Yeah, it was
welcome
huge.
to Poland.
And then I was going to get taken out to the club where I was going. So he was like, chopping up big kind of. It was like that. Almost looked like that kind of German sausage, like the Bratwurst sausage. So he was chopping up anyway. So he said to me, he's like, do you like vodka? And I said,
vodka.
What, do you like vodka? But I said, well, yeah, I don't mind. I usually, Jack Daniels was my drink of the choice at the time. But I said, yeah, I'll have vodka. So anyway, he says, you want some food? So we get down the food. So he put down a shot glass of vodka and a can. He said, what do you have with it? I said, Coke. So he put a can of Coke. So I've got a shot glass of vodka and a can of Coke. So I'm thinking, how does this work? Where's my glass? So anyway, so this is what we do. So basically, take a shot of vodka, a mouthful of Coke, and then eat a bit of food.
Yeah.
And it's
all on sticks.
And I was like, yeah. So I was like, okay. So we were there for about half an hour, and at that point I did about 3 vodka shots. Went more vodka, and I was like, I've got a DJ. God. I've never DJ'd in my life. I've practiced at home. I said, I've got to go. I don't want to mess this up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and don't fuck it up.
And don't fuck it up. So we left Richard there. So we drove on to the next club. So I'd obviously had a few drinks. I think I'd had probably 1 or 2 at the hotel as well. Just such a nurse. I'm 3 sheets to the wind already. So anyway, we get into the DJ booth, right? And it's this big club. And
but isn't this the one where the car broke down?
In fact, yeah, it was. So this is even worse. So we're driving between, and it was it was like a kind of Mercedes people carrier thing, and we were like in the middle of nowhere because Poland's so vast, right? We're driving, it's getting dark because it was in the summer.
Oh no!
All of a sudden, the car conks out. So I'm like, okay. So that's when he's on the phone. He's like, United Nations. So I'm thinking, what's being said here? So we're just sitting there, and the guy's like, car coming to get us, and I'm thinking, am I getting trafficked here? Am I getting kidnapped? There's a van going to pull up.
No.
The side door's going to open. Like balaclava guys are going to throw me in and try and like.
We want your clothes, your boots, and your records.
and try and get some money for me. I was going to say, good luck trying to get the UK government to pay for any money to get me back. You know what I mean? It'd be different if it was like Calvin Harris.
Oh my God, I'm sorry, this is so mean, but I love the thought of you sitting there shitting yourself.
Well, I was just kind of like, this is what's going on. This is weird. Like, so anyway, sure enough, 20 minutes later, a car pulls up. Jump in there onto the club. So I was a bit unnerved at that. And then, so we get into the club and I get shown into the DJ booth, big DJ booth, few people in there. And the DJ's on before me is just kind of looking me up and down like, yeah. So it's a DJ thing. So anyway, but it wasn't like what you see now with the CDJ Pioneer. You got 2 decks and it was something you see in like a wedding DJ. It was like an all-in-one unit. And I couldn't even see where the CDs went in. I'm going, where the fucking and this guy had left me like, so when you're DJing, you want songs to mix into each other. So this guy had left me about 1.5 minutes left on this song. Now, bearing in mind, as it was an extended edit, about 1 minute of that's just going to be drums. Yeah. So that's the point where you want to have the other records mixed in. Yeah. People don't want to be standing there listening to drums. Yeah. So of course I'm going, where the fucking hell? That's like, look, where's the? So he pressed the button and the CD was underneath. It came out. So I'm putting my CD in. It was Madonna Hung Up. That's what I was going to play.
Okay.
So the tick tick time goes by. Yeah. So of course I'm frantically trying to get the tick 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 into the drums, get it going. Jobs are good. And so I'm like. And
then you had your first experience of a Polish rider there, didn't you? There was a guy. The club owner said to me just before I went up. He says, "What do you drink?" And I said, "Jack Daniels." He said, "Well, we don't have any Jack Daniels." Is whiskey okay? Jim Beam, like Johnny Walker Red Label. Yeah. I said, yep, fine, no problem. What do you have with it? I said Coke. So I arrive in the DJ booth and there's a bucket of ice, there's a glass, there's a bottle of Coke, and there's a full litre bottle of whiskey. And I was like, oh my God, just help yourself. So of course I poured a drink. So at this point I'm going to have to watch here. So I didn't. But anyway, so there's a guy with a backpack on, standing by the lights, and he's just standing there looking at me. So after a couple of songs, I'm just kind of looking at him, and he just came up and he says, "You like vodka?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd like. You want some vodka?" I says, "Okay, sure, yeah." So anyway, he gave me a shot of vodka. So I did the vodka, carried on DJing. But at this point, it's like, "Oh, everybody, great to be here," because I've had a few too many. No. So I was probably like a really bad wedding DJ. Oh God!
Because I remember there was
giving it here we.
Yeah, there's a VIP. Do you know what?
You didn't do that.
No, I didn't do that. But there was because it was like a VIP area up above. There was this kind of like almost like a kind of bridge thing above it, and that's where the VIP bit was. And they were all just kind of looking down at me. And do you remember there was a mashup with that song "Cause I Like You"? Yes, I like. Cause I'm so bohemian, and they mashed it up with "I'm so horny." Oh yeah. There was that one. It was like. And I was playing that when I was giving it that, "You're horny," all that shit. And then I started taking the piss out of them. I was like, smile away and take your face for the shite or whatever. I can't remember, but they were all like, they're all looking dead serious. And I was just like, I'm not having that. And where this guy's still offering me vodka.
But is this little man still just standing there?
Just with a backpack on and a cap, just standing there doing nothing.
He's just like, then steps back.
Yeah, I said to him, I was like, after a bit, I was like, what is it? You work for the club? Yeah. What do you do? I have vodka. I said, right, okay. I said, what? So what?
I'm your vodka guy.
I said, what is your? I said, is your job just to give me vodka? He's like, yes. That was it.
I fucking love Poland.
And I was like, this is so.
I love Poland.
I remember by the end of it, I was like, whoa. I don't think we got great reviews for that gig. I'll be perfectly honest. I think Daz phoned me up the next day and was like, Yeah.
Well, they've not learnt their lesson.
I blamed him. I says, well, you missed your flight. If you'd have been there, it'd have been different. You'd have been like, calm down, big man. We've got a job to do. And I'm like getting stuck into the whiskey and playing records.
They've not held back from the vodka thing, because the last time, second to last time I was over and I was doing Yakata Melodia, we went to, the driver was so kind. What a lovely man, Jurek, he was called. And he says, I know you vegan, gluten-free. I take you to the supermarket. So he takes me to the supermarket. And he's like, yes, we go and find food. And I'm like, I'm walking past the veg, walking past everything. The first thing he wants to show me is the vodka.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is best vodka with apple juice. And I was like, great.
That's the thing.
Took a mental note of that. So on the last day, I went back to the supermarket and I got him the vodka and the apple juice and put it in a little pink gift bag. And gave it to him at the airport, and he was like, "Oh, bless you." But they're just, aren't they? They're just the best people in Poland.
They love their vodka, yes.
But they love their vodka. But do you know what? Aren't they just so attentive? And they're just they really take pride in their jobs.
Yeah.
No matter what they're doing.
Yep.
It's amazing. I love it. I love Poland. So what's been your worst gig?
It was in Białystok.
Oh, okay.
In the north of Poland, right? But we landed, and funnily enough, the driver was an off-duty cop. He was talking about, that he was a second job. So to get to the hotel, it was about an hour and a half from the airport. And then I don't know why we were in this hotel. It was another hour to drive to the venue. I don't know why they couldn't have got us, but it was a big gig. Like the mayor of the town, the president of the town, was it president or mayor? I can't remember. The head honcho was there. The kind of main presenters of the day were presenting this kind of thing. But I just wasn't feeling it at all. I don't know if I was just feeling under the weather. Yeah, we turned up and they put on a nice spread for us, and I didn't touch a drop of alcohol from a guy for Scotland at New Year. I just remember being on stage, and I would always turn up and do what I need to do and do the thing. I just remember thinking, I just want this to finish.
It's hard though, isn't it? And this is what we were talking about. Like I love.
It's not
gigging.
hard. I mean,
No, but it's the traveling and the gigging. People think it's so glamorous, don't they? And it is not. It is not. I mean, I'll always say I like you to book my travel because I can tell you what I want. But it's like, they'll book you a 6 a.m. flight, and then you're not on stage till 1 a.m. And you're like all day traveling, and then you've got to get in and you think, I am cream crackered. So you have a shower and you think, oh, I'm awake. But then you've got to wait till 1 a.m. and then you've got to get your boost again. Do you know what I mean? I think because I don't know what I am, but I have 5-6 second winds, don't I, of energy. But it is sometimes you just think, I think 2 days later it hits you and you go, oh crap, I'm knackered.
I've been lucky. I wouldn't say I've ever had a gig that was terrible from a point of view of things went wrong. Apart from that, the car breaking down.
Just funny
stuff
things.
But we did Malta. I just started on my career break. We were headlining at an MTV show in Malta again for New Year. Yeah. This is a big gig. We were invited over to Malta 30th, 31st, and flew back. I think it was the 2nd. So we were there for about 3 nights. But the 30th we arrived, and they took us out and wined and dined us. But we just got really drunk because they were treating us well, and. Well, I can't really speak for Daz, but I was just so hungover the next day, the whole next day. And then we had to go and do the gig that night. We only had to do an hour, you know what I mean? And we were getting paid well, and it was the thing. But turned up, and then before, and MTV's like, right, can we do some filming outside? And we'll do some, hi, we're United Nations, welcome. And I was just like,
and you were hammered.
So it was me, Craig, and Daz. Because Craig was going to do like 2 songs in them.
Okay.
And then went in the DJ booth. And in the DJ booth, if you haven't got headphones on, there's usually there's a speaker.
Okay.
Instead of having headphones, you can hear the song that you're playing mixing in, because you can't listen to the room because the room's reverb and it's echoing.
Yeah.
It wasn't working. We didn't have headphones. So we had so basically we're mixing, try to listen out there, and got away with it. But that was like, see that with a hangover.
Imagine this as a vocalist, people.
I think I was like, sweat was dripping off me sort of thing. But we managed to get an hour, and I just think back and then got back to the hotel, and I was crashed that early and got up the next day and thought, oh my God. It was good, but I thought, God, you could have enjoyed that a lot more. Yeah. See if you just hadn't gone. But when you arrive in Malta and you're the headline act and they say, come out, and we're walking around the it's not a big place, Malta. This is the night that we arrived, the 30th. And there's these big screens, massive screens up going, tomorrow, Uniting Nations. It's playing all our music and stuff like that. Because we were the headline act. This was MTV. Wow. So you kind of walk around and go, this is surreal. So come on, let's get drinks, let's get shots, let's do this. And
I think you've had all these surreal moments, but when you've had that many, they just start to become like, not normal, but you just go, oh yeah, this happened. And when we talk to other people about this, they go, what? Yeah.
I'm not...
Like what? Because you got to meet Hall & Oates as well, didn't you?
We did get to meet Hall & Oates, yeah. Funnily enough, we were down for Top of the Pops again, and they Hall & Oates were over doing a gig for Capital Gold, the radio station, and they'd obviously coincided it with the fact that Out of Touch was in the top 10. It was their record, and it had never been a top 10 in the UK. So they'd gone, let's Capital, you're current, come over, we'll do recorded. So the press company for Hall & Oates happened to be the same press company as us, and initially our label said, why don't we see if they can come to the BBC and introduce you on Top of the Pops? How cool would that be?
That would be cool.
Hi, we're Hall & Oates, and this, so just for that song.
Yeah.
They didn't. The timings wouldn't have worked out because they would have been on stage at that point. So we said, well, it's an opportunity. Let's go and meet them. There is a picture of this somewhere on the internet where I just look like I just look like a village idiot. Anyway, because I was a Hall & Oates fan, big Hall & Oates fan.
That must have been
in fact,
quite
our
surreal.
manager at the time had a CD with him. He wanted them to sign. He's like, I don't know if I can ask them. I don't know if this is etiquette here. We're here to meet them, but I think eventually he did.
Yeah.
So we went through the back. It's Carnival de Paris, Café de Paris. Sorry, at Leicester Square.
Amazing venue.
Yeah, we went through the back, very intimate venue.
It's in loads of films.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And John Oates is standing at the bar, and he was loaded with the cold and stuff because he was like, I went, oh hi, how you doing? He says, hey, and he said, oh look, I won't shake your hand. I'm full of germs and stuff like that. Because you could tell he was loaded up. And he was drinking. I think he was drinking a can of Iron Brew. Or something weird. It was strange.
That's
anyway.
a bit weird.
I know.
Scottish connection there.
He was just drinking, so I just said hi, and he was just like, and he was cool, and he said, oh, thanks. Hey, thanks for doing a record. And I was like, well, thanks for letting us do your record. And he said it was funny actually. He said a friend of mine in South Africa called me up a couple of weeks ago and went, John, I've got your record on here. He says, but it sounds strange. He said it's just the chorus going round and round and round. And he said, I was like, oh, I know what that is. It's this new version.
That's
they were
insane, isn't it?
Well, they were aware because obviously they have to give permission.
Yeah.
For us to do it. And then the manager standing there. The manager just looked like he just had lots of money.
Yeah.
Just look, because Hall & Oates were, I don't know if they still are, but they were the most successful songwriting team in history behind John Lennon and Paul McCartney in America.
Wow.
Massive. I mean, people watching probably don't realise how many Hall & Oates hits they will
know.
Man Eater.
We've done that. Yeah. We've done that because and you're like, yeah, that's Hall & Oates. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's mad.
And he said Daryl, so that was John Oates who met, he says, Daryl's through the back. He said he'll be through in a second. He said, I'll let you introduce yourself, and walked away. And I'm thinking, so anyway, Daryl comes out, and Daryl's a big guy like me. I think he's about an inch taller than me. I'm 6'3", so he was a big guy. And I was like, hi, Daryl, I'm Paul, and Daz, and this is from United Nations. And he was just kind of like, he was a nice guy. He was just like, hey, cool to meet you. I could tell he wasn't really like, what's going on?
He didn't understand.
Didn't really understand the whole, and it was just like, oh my God, this is Hall & Oates, and we got a couple of pictures, and they were cool. And they actually said, are you going to stay and watch some of the show? Mm-hmm. And we were like, no, we can't. We said, we're actually doing Top of the Pops, and we told them the story about, and they went, oh, that would have been cool. I said, but we have to get back to the BBC.
It's just mental, isn't it?
As we were leaving the backstage area, Joe was like, our manager was thinking, he says, do you know what, we can stay, we're not due on for, we can stay for 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. So he got us into the VIP area of this, and there was who's who of music royalty were there. I was talking to Roger Taylor just to a thing, and we were talking about the song, and he was saying his kids love the song, and it was just like, my God, Roger Taylor.
My God.
So anyway, Hall & Oates came on stage, and they were going to open the show with Out of Touch.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't know we were there. They thought we'd left. And he said, and I remember Daryl sitting down with the guitar, and he said, we're going to do a song now. He said, it's back in the charts just now. It's in the top 10 here. And I just remember thinking, please don't slag me off. Please don't take the piss and go, we just met these two chances. They've done this version.
Well, we'll take the paycheck, honey.
But we've got a better version. I mean, they didn't need the money. They were multi-millionaires.
Exactly.
From what Out of Touch made for them is insignificant. But he just went, it's back in the chart. He said, well, we know a version with verses. And then jump into Out of Touch. And that's all he said.
It just brings that relevance back, though, doesn't it? And fair play to them to be, human about it as well. Like, it's cool because that we've tried to do things and these people say no.
Yeah.
When it's covers, you've got to get permission. But speaking of surreal moments like that, the next one would be Eurovision.
Yes.
Yeah.
How
did that come about?
So, I mean, that's probably something more for Daz to talk about, but basically Daz was...
Well, what was your input? I would like to say that your input to the UK's entry of Eurovision that year would maybe have been image consultant.
Oh, right, yeah. So I'll let Daz talk about the whole Eurovision experience. Yeah. So he was the UK entry for 2006, and we'd obviously known together. And he said, "Come out." So we went out, and it was in Athens. So it was a lovely, the venue it was the Olympic stadiums, and it was, Eurovision is if you've never been, it's huge to be there, absolutely huge. It's they take
Don't rub it in.
Well, they take it so seriously, but I
am desperate to do Eurovision.
You know me and my sense of humour. So I said, I was like, oh, we need to dress you up like in character. And the thing is, people can go and check this. There are interviews.
I feel like we need to flash up the image of what he looked like at this point.
So
and this was down to PK Consulting.
Yeah. So we'll let you go. Well, Dad, as I say, I'll let Daz do it. But yeah, so we said we created this character, which was basically called TV's Daz Sampson. And it was going to be a case of whenever he was doing interviews, like halfway through, he'd shout, 2 Zambucas, Dave, like off camera, because it was live. There's nothing they could do.
And what was he wearing?
Oh, sorry. Just knocked the mic there.
Just knocked my whole set up.
So we were in this really nice hotel.
Yeah.
And so each day we went out, I got him these really. I was going to try and get him these ridiculous glasses, but we couldn't. So I bought this cigar. It was like €30 for this big long cigar. Daz wasn't a smoker. I said, but you can just light it and stuff like that. And we'll do it on. Like on
I
using stuff like.
I can't believe he went with this.
But it was funny. It got a lot of attention. I mean, the BBC and the management hated it. Yeah. They hated it.
They hated you.
They hated me being there. Yeah. So basically, what would happen is I would take a hotel dressing gown in a bag. I would take a couple of energy drinks, different colours, like a cocktail glass, some chopped up fruits. And then
this was really thought out.
Yeah. In a bag, take it to the venue, and then when Daz would get there, we'd put him into character. So he'd put the robe on. I'd make him a drink that looked like a pina colada or something, just colourful. It was non-alcoholic, and then put bits of fruit in the side, and then light this cigar, and he'd walk around. And you can YouTube it. There's clips
so
on
clips.
YouTube of TV's Dad, and we did an interview with Paddy live on the BBC, and it was like in character with a cigar, and I'm pretty sure they told us you can't have the cigar on live TV. And we were talking. We went, do you know what? See, when they say, we're live, I'll just light it and hand it to you. What are they going to do? Stop? And that's what happened. Dad's like, yeah, just light. So he just lit it, and then Paddy's like, here he is, and he comes into shot, and he's like got this cigar and stuff like that. And I think.
Oh God, my face.
I don't think the Bee were too happy about that, but Daz will confirm that. I'm pretty sure they were like, they didn't want him smoking and that sort of thing.
Didn't you get a note through your door saying? I didn't. Please
Daz
stop.
did. Yeah, Daz was like, I think he got a note from the head of the BBC, Dominic, who's no longer with us. God rest him. Basically said something along the lines of, Daz, it's been funny, but no more jokes, no more gimmicks, please. But the thing is, they knew. But they knew behind the scenes. I was like, go on, Daz, put that on. You know it's funny. But people laughed when they saw him walking backstage. And I mean, but when it came to the important parts, he turned it on. He wasn't that jokey character the whole time. It was
the funny thing is, when I do Eurovision, when you won't even need to do that for me.
No.
Because I'll Sylvia Knight that shit right
Sylvia
up.
Knight. Oh, God, she was funny.
I'm going to be the next level of that. I cannot wait. It's happening. It's happening.
Yep.
If you book them, they will come.
They will come.
So what's another thing that you do? There's your other alter ego, Standard Day Guy.
Yeah, well, this is a kind of new thing. To be fair, this wasn't even my idea. It was your idea.
No, it was not my idea. You started making these little shit videos. Little shit bags.
The thing is, they're not shit videos. They're factual.
No, I'm not saying they're shit videos.
No,
I'm saying
I mean
you're a
about
little shit.
being a little shit. No, I'm saying, but it's all factual stuff based on being your other half and the situations that I find myself in.
He just started making these stupid videos and putting them on your Facebook, and I was like, no one's on Facebook now. No one cares about Facebook. It needs to be on the gram. And
the gram.
The thing is, people talk to you about it. We've been out, people have gone, oh, I've seen your video, so funny, can't wait for the next one. And I'm like, are you joking? He's taking the piss out of me.
That's why they like it. They're like, yeah. And then, but it was like you, and we were out, and it was you and Jan, wasn't it? It was like, you should create a TikTok for that. And I was like, what? So I have created a TikTok for Standard Day Guy, if you want us to, but all
I can take the piss out of myself, guys, just so you know.
But all I've done so far is upload all the videos I've already done. I've not had time to make any new content. But then I've not been really in any situations where I tell funny stories where you ask me to go, can you go and pick up this, because we're in this pink haven at the moment. You can't see behind the camera, but there's all pink furniture. And it was like, oh, so-and-so selling this pink cabinet. Would you mind going to get it? Yeah, no problem. And I turn up and it's in the middle of a scheme. Like the kind of place you just wouldn't go, you know. It's like, I don't want to say the J word, but drug appearance person's, city. And I'm like chapping on doors, and like this person answers like, "Marty," and I'm like,
welcome to Facebook Marketplace.
I'm like, are you? And I'm thinking, why is she buying anything off this person? And it turns out it was actually the wrong door because the way it had been numbered, and it was the person upstairs. It was and then they answered and went, "Oh, hi, are you looking for me?" And I thought, thank God you look normal. Because I would.
Thing is, look normal. You've done things like you steal my hats. You steal all my hats. My favourite Britney Spears hat that's like iconic from frickin' Vegas. It's probably going to be worth loads of money. You keep putting it on your big heat and stretching it out.
I probably bought you that anyway, so I'm allowed to.
No, he didn't.
But yeah, but it's the thing is, it's not situations that I'm creating to make funny. They're just funny.
They're just funny
because
in general.
of the situations I end up in. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of this.
I think you've only when you started doing these videos because you're at work. And people will be like, oh, yeah, what are you up to, Paul? And you'll say something and they're killing themselves. And you're like, oh, is it funny? Like, because it's just our life. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's just things that we do. But then you were like, oh. But now you've fueled the freaking fire, guys, because he is just like, oh, this will be funny. But you start to put little lies in there about me as well, don't you? That's sad.
In what way? Well, I usually start the videos with that you're away somewhere doing a topless calendar or a porn shoot or something. I'm like, she's away doing a topless calendar. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's generally...
Yeah, thanks for that.
Generally made up. Yeah. Not always.
And so what are your socials for that?
Standard Day Guy on TikTok. Hopefully... Oh, so have I got Instagram as well? I'm asking you. I don't even know.
You do have Instagram.
Standard Day Guy on the gram and on TikTok, Standard Day Guy. You'll see me. You'll see a really youthful looking picture of me.
Yeah.
That is not AI generated, before anybody asks.
So, yeah, and then you also have channels for your Keen Shot Media, which is all your film, music video production.
Yeah.
And you also have just set one up through the gram for your remixes as well, because you've done things under different names, haven't you? But now it's kind of, you do a lot of stuff with George, who I'm going to have on the podcast from GBX.
George Bauer, yeah.
So he talks about you all the time on the show. So it's like, oh, this is a Paul Keenan GBX mix. So I've told you that you need to set that up as well. So that's out there. Paul Keenan music. I struggle
with social media. I'm an undisclosed age between 40 and 50, but it's hard to get because it's this,
You just got to do it.
There's just so much to do as well as just to make the record. And it's like, then you've got to put it here and put it here and put it here and hashtag this and hashtag this. And it's like, whoa.
But if you do it, you might be able to get your dream collab, which would be, what's your dream collab? Music.
Well, dream collab was probably between like two.
Because you've worked with some.
I worked with some
freaking.
Yeah, I mean, I would love
people.
to do a track with Phil Oakey.
Yeah.
From the Human League.
Well, we tried.
We tried to get him, but couldn't get past his management. But that's why management are there to filter and just.
So we're talking directly to you, Phil, not your manager.
Yep.
You would have been. We literally wrote Mirror, FHE track Mirror, and I was like, I can hear Phil Oakey on this. I can literally hear Phil. But then saying that,
we got Ginian.
Ginian. You
Ginian,
couldn't
who
beat
sang
Ginian
on
now.
Out of Touch.
Ginian is insane on that track.
Yeah, he's so good.
He is so good.
Because I remember when we sent the track.
He's
and
just got this I don't know what it is in his voice. It's just luscious. Yeah. He's very, very good. So yeah, go on, Phil Oakey. Anybody else? Woo, chucking my card at you now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to work with Dave Gann from Depeche Mode.
Okay.
Here's the thing. See if I got an email saying, like, Lady Gaga wants to do a track with you. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, oh, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? And think, wow, from a business point of view, financially,
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I'd be like, hey, that's cool. But I'd be more excited about getting an email saying Phil Oakey wants to do a track with you. But that's just a generation thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My business head would say, if Cardi B comes knocking, do a track with her.
The thing with you as well, though, is, and I contribute a lot of my success recently, and since we've met, to you just have no fear, and you're just like, yeah, let's do this, let's promote this, and you will message anyone. You just don't give a shit, do you? No, you're like, listen, they're only people. We can only ask.
Worst that can happen is they say no.
Well, yeah, and so we did, because we did Sweet Harmony, and you messaged
John Marsh from the Beloved. Yep, he was nice.
Yeah.
I did that as a courtesy.
Yeah.
Just
because it's
a cover.
When it's a straight cover, you can do whatever you want.
So
but if you wanted to change it, you have to get the original artist.
But I sent it to him as professional courtesy. He said, "Done this version. Just what kind of like your blessing on it." And he was dead nice. He went, "Paul, thanks very much, appreciate it. Because you won't get many people that do that now.
No.
That are old school, or they'll just go and do it. Appreciate the courtesy, he says, but he said it's a good track, it's a cover. You don't need my blessing, but thanks for asking.
But you don't ask, you don't get.
No, yep.
You know.
But no, I even spoke with Depeche Mode's manager. I got his email, and he replied.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing, because he can instantly Google me and see, is this guy what I've done compared to what Depeche Mode's done, and I might well never have heard back from him. He came back and just said, hi, thanks, what is it you're looking for? And I said, well, it's track for Dave, and he sent it back, and he came back and said, look, thanks, but it's not something that Dave would do. But he took the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's a busy man. Depeche Mode's manager.
Yeah.
But he took the time, and he must get so many emails.
Yeah.
And but to actually, that's that would be me if I was in that situation, to take the time to reply to feasibly
So
everyone.
Phil, Depeche Mode, can you stop destroying my set here? Bloody hell.
Yeah, Phil Oakey, we're coming for you.
We're coming for you.
If needs be, I'm going to go and find out the pub you drink at in Sheffield. And I'm
Philip's burned.
And I'm going to find out.
What is that off? We say this all the time.
It was a documentary.
Was it a documentary?
And it was...
was it about...
What's her name from Human League?
Yeah.
Was it Sarah?
No, Kemp's wife.
No, it was the blonde woman from...
Oh, God, yeah, no, I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah, you're thinking of Shirley.
I'm thinking of Shirley.
What was her name? Is it Sarah?
I
anyway,
can't remember.
But she was reliving how
that came
Human
about.
League came about, and then a mum came in.
She was at school.
She was at school at the time. Well, she was at home. She was a schoolgirl.
Yeah.
And then Phil Oakey had obviously phoned to say we were at Top of the Pops, and she said she was sitting there, and mum came in and went
chapping door like
Philip's on Thurn.
Philip's burned. You're going Top of Pops.
Phil's on Thurn. It was just dead funny.
I love that. So yeah, we say that all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
Philip's burned.
Philip's on Thurn. So I would like to.
So come on, Phil. Come on. We're visualising.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, it's getting. Management's there and they're important for a reason because, but if you can, I've always found if you can bypass the management and get to the artists, ultimately they will have to give the management their place, but you can get to the artists and say, look, this is what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. Then they can go to the
Well, what they'll either do is go, yeah, I really want to do that, or they'll go, management, can you swerve this?
The thing is, because you're trusting your management as well to have the best interest for you, and
that's it. And I tell you what,
there'll be a lot of projects
people...
that you don't get to hear about. And I know from back in the day, from when my management were, because I remember going to the music festival Medium in France, in Cannes in France. It's every year, and I went there in 2006 with my management, and we happened to speak to our South African label, because we had a different label, and obviously each territory.
Different territories, yeah.
And basically Medium's where all the record labels go and meet up, and they blah blah. And so we got introduced. Oh, they're from South Africa, and we're chatting away, and the guy was like, oh yeah, we're so disappointed the tour fell through. And me and Daz were like, tour? What tour? And to be fair, the management hadn't told us about this because it didn't happen, so I can't really, that's fine. But behind the scenes,
I'd be fucking fuming.
Well, no, because it wasn't happening. That was the point. I'd rather not have known, because do you want to be told about this tour and then, by the way, it's not happening?
Well,
that's worse.
I suppose that's the only bad thing with you kind of managing my stuff, is that you just tell me and I'm like, well, this might happen, oh my God. And then it doesn't. I'm like, damn.
I know, I need to stop telling you for listening. But yeah, apparently there was a South African tour. Not like a stadium. I don't want to say stadium, that's not right. But it was like small, like stadiums, like little local teams. And they had, because our stuff had done really well there.
Yeah.
I'd say about John Oates, his friend, phoning up from South Africa, saying, I keep hearing your record. So we'd been quite successful there. And they planned this tour, but apparently one of the sponsors pulled out for whatever reason. So it didn't go ahead. But we were that close to doing a tour of South Africa. Wow. Of a few. And
I mean, you've had mad stuff when we were talking about different people going out and doing the UN gigs. What about the Scouse DJ that got flown into bloody MTV Awards, was it, or something? Yeah,
that's right.
And I'm sitting here going, why weren't you doing these gigs,
DJ
Paul?
Colin, who I've never met. He's known Daz for years. He's Daz knew him, and so we took him on as the DJ, like kind of touring DJ, and it was Romania, and they were doing a gig, and I think we were doing a performance at the MTV Award. I'm trying to think if we were up for an MTV Award.
Well, you've got a smash hit.
We've got a smash hit, which we never got.
Where is it?
I'll tell you that story in a second. But for whatever happened, they got helicoptered in, and they were literally flying over the stadium. They landed in this, and Daz and I knew nothing about this. And then we were like sitting on the couch reading the paper because we were just being lazy. Like, you can go and do that gig. And they were, didn't sound. They didn't sell it to us as exciting as it was. And then I think Dad's found out. Phone up, went.
I bet he was fuming.
They got helicoptered in and landed and did this, performed and stuff. And I was like, what? Why weren't we there?
That's insane.
But yeah, the smash hit, which, and Daz will remember this as well, because we were nominated for Best Dance Act in 2005. We were up against Milo, Basement Jaxx, Body Rockers, maybe Groove Armada as well. Yeah, I think so. So everybody didn't think we had a chance, because our label were like, no, we're not going to win. You're up against this. Our management, no, we've got no chance. And I'm sitting, and I was the only one at the time. I was going, look, this is a pop act, and Daz always wanted to win a smash hits. Tell you himself.
Yeah.
And so this is a pop act. This is a pop awards. It's
You've
voted
got a really
by
good chance.
Why would they vote for Milo? Nothing wrong with Milo. I love Milo's album back then, and they're all quite cool.
Yeah.
They're not
Groove
a pop
was
act.
very
Basement
cool.
Jack, Body Rockers were our closest one. They had that one song, I like the way you move.
Yeah.
And I was like, we've got to have a chance here. Let's at least go. And it was like, no, we're not going to go. Blah, blah. I don't think the Best Dance Act's going to be televised anyway. Blah blah. It doesn't matter if it's not going to be televised. I want to be there.
Yeah.
We're nominated. We're as much right as anybody else.
Yeah.
As, Robbie Williams is going there to win 10,
I'd have
10
kicked
Brits.
off. We'd have been there.
But for whatever reason, but I ended up. I was going on holiday anyway. So so we never went. And then I'm on holiday and I get a phone call from Daz, who was sitting at home having a roll, eating a roll, reading the paper,
a sandwich
on the Monday. Skipped to the showbiz thing when I had all the Smash Hit Award results, and read Best Dance Act United Nations.
Stop it.
So we found out by reading the paper. So of course he's straight onto the management and going, what in the fuck's going on here? And they were like, oh, they're phoning the labels, and the label were all like, oh, can't, like it was a big joke, like, oh, we were totally horrified, we couldn't believe it. And I was so angry. I got drunk and sacked everyone. It wasn't the first time I'd done that, but
no,
I was in Gran Canaria and I was raging. I thought we could have been there. Smash Hit Award. Do you know what I mean?
That's
Come on,
mega back then.
Back in the day, the Smash Hits Poll Winners Party was like,
I've got filofaxes with the lyrics.
It was a big award because it was voted for by the fans. It was a big thing, the Smash Hit, and I couldn't believe it. So so I was on holiday. And I got my laptop, and management got, you've been sacked, and says everyone's sacked. You're all sacked. Obviously, I think they were used to getting emails on me at 3 a.m. going, oh, well, Paul's drunk again. To the extent one of them phoned up that, because he called me Dry Ride. Yeah. Because there was this novelty, or this track, one of the first tracks I ever did, I was going to release it under the name Dry Ride. Right. Just a funny thing. And
you've got so many of these mad
and my
names.
Manager liked that name so much that apparently whenever he would call me Dry Ride, to the point he left me a message one thing, and it was meant for Daz, and he referred to it wasn't a bad thing, a voicemail, and he referred to me as Dry Ride, and he came off the phone and realised I've just left that message on Paul's answer phone. But I think he was saying, oh, can you speak to Dry Ride and ask him about such and such? It wasn't a bad message, so
right.
But I think it was getting to the stage where he would phone up Daz and say, Daz, can you speak to Paul? He's got to stop getting drunk and sacking us, or giving us a load of, because that's what I'm just getting a few drinks.
Yeah, but they're not doing their bloody job properly.
Who do they think they are? I mean, no, they were in a lot of ways. The management were good. They were well connected, and it did help in some ways. But I was raging. Yeah. And then to this day, we've never got that award.
Yeah,
because our label went bust, literally. I mean, our label didn't go bust straight after. It wasn't soon after. So I don't know why that award was never tracked down. I don't know why.
I bet it was never picked up. I bet it was never collected.
You have to speak when Daz is on. You have to ask him.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact why we didn't.
We
get
want
that.
justice.
But then we had a silver record.
Yeah.
Out of Touch went silver years ago. We didn't know. And then Daz found out just a couple of weeks ago, just before Christmas. He said, that's gone silver. And I went, would you a silver disc?
Yeah.
So because our label's no more, we went to the people who own our back catalogue and said, look, Out of Touch went silver.
Disc? Yeah.
As far as we're aware, it's the label that has to apply for it. And they went, yeah, it does. And they got it.
Yeah.
So I finally got a silver record.
It's up in the studio.
It's up in the studio, yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah. So cool.
Not many people that have been fortunate enough to have that.
I mean, we would literally be here all day if we went on all the people that you've met and stuff. But I just think it's so interesting because...
We're going to have to heavily edit this because I feel like I've gone on for like...
No, fuck it. You can listen to the whole thing.
It's nearly an hour and a half.
Listen to the whole bloody thing. Have you got a random fact?
Random fact.
I do have a random fact.
Okay.
So you cannot hum, when
yeah,
if you pinch your nose.
Right.
So what I do is start humming. So
Oh, your mouth fills up with
It fills up with air.
Oh,
so
that's
it's like,
horrid.
so obviously when you're humming, there must be air coming out of your nose.
What's that?
But like, I'm like, I can't feel hair coming out of my nose.
Hair?
Sorry, air. I've got hair. I'm at that age
definitely
now.
hair. It sounds like you're being choked.
I know.
Oh, that's so weird.
And you can't lick your elbow.
See, I feel like I could, but my tongue's not long enough.
Your tongue would have to be
I'm
about that long.
tongue-tied. That's a random fact about me. I'm tongue-tied. My tongue's attached right at the front.
No.
So I can't stick my tongue out. But yeah, I thought I could because I'm very flexible. That's weird, isn't it?
Yep.
What a weird thing. Shall I do a random fact?
Go for it.
The random fact is, see, to measure your jeans, to make sure a pair of jeans are going to fit, you get the waist and you put it round your neck. And if it meets there, it's going to fit you. How fucking weird is that?
Sorry, your waist of your jeans?
Yeah. You get the waist of the jeans and you put it round your neck, and as long as it meets there, it'll fit you on your waist.
Just like not putting the jeans over your
No.
head. Right, I'm trying to think.
Oh my God.
I was like,
so you hold your jeans like
got
that,
you.
but you'd put them on like a cape behind your head and then go like that, and that's how you know.
I never knew that. I'm going to try that now.
I know, see? It's good, that, isn't it? Well, thank you so much. I feel like it was very informative.
I think so. I felt like I just talked a lot.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
good thing.
It's good.
But
yeah, thank you so
I'll
much.
watch this back and I'll be like that. Cut that.
Well, thank you so much. Now, get in the kitchen and make my dinner.
Standard.
Thank you. Love you.
Oh, yeah.